Hi everybody and welcome to my latest YouTube video. So this one's all about trolling ultralights for perch. Now this time of year I love this method. It's a fantastic method for catching loads and loads and loads of fish. And don't get me wrong, I like catching big pike, I like catching big perch and stuff like that. But when it comes to this time of year, I just like catching fish. I do, you know, I'm just a normal fisherman. I really do like catching fish. And especially when you're a lure angler, it's all about the take. So if you can guarantee yourself 50, 60 fish in a day, you've had a good day's sport in anybody's book. So what I like to do is I like to step down the tackle, get the ultralight gear out and catch plenty of fish. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and go through the equipment I use and a little bit more method of why we do it and how we do it. So first of all, what we'll do, we'll get these box of tricks. These are my lures, I generally tack out on boat. This is a waterproof lure box, which is fantastic. It means if I drop it in water, if it pees it down, it don't get all my lures wet and they don't go all rusty, which is a major bonus. And these are the babies. First one, this is a Salmo Hornet. Look at that little Bobby Dazzler. Now it's about, I don't know, it's about 1.5 centimetres, something like that. That runs down around 2.5 foot maximum. Even if you let 30 foot of line out, you're only going to get that down to 3 foot. Now, when you're trolling on ultralights, you don't really want to be letting loads of line out because you're having to adjust all the time. These weed beds are quite wide and then they're narrow, wide and narrow. So if you've got loads and loads of line out, you can't control your lure. So I like to keep my line about, I don't know, 20 yards back maximum so I can work around the weed beds. So short line, something like that, will catch you fish all day long. The smaller and the more steady the run, in other words, if it stays in a perfect line, the more fish you will catch on it. Really, really good lure. It's caught me a few fish already. I only got that a couple of weeks ago from Bobco's, and it's already had, I don't know, 25 fish, so can't complain. Really good lure. Come in various sizes. This is one with a single treble on the back, the smallest version they do. Then you go to Ugly Ducklings, another great lure. That'll run about 6.5 foot. If you let enough line out, but at a short line it'll run about 4.5, 5 foot, which is perfect for this sort of thing. Again, it's got quite a deep bill, so it's quite an aggressive lure. It vibrates like hell at back end. Then we'll go on to the all-time favourite. That lure has caught me so many fish this season, it's ridiculous. That is a jointed yogi. It's probably about 5 centimetres, I would say, maybe 5.5 centimetres. Again, it's jointed, it's really aggressive, and it's a fantastic lure. On this video, you'll see that catch loads of fish. The other one I use is a 5 centimetre jointed shad wrap. Again, you've seen me catch loads of fish in other videos on this. It catches for fun. It's a great lure. I haven't used it as much this season. I'll tell you the reason why. The jointed yogi's done so well, and the Salmo. There's no point. There's no point just changing lures for the sake of changing lures. If you're catching, you might as well just leave it as it is. If you do go a little bit deeper, then that's perfect. The equipment I've been using, I've been using 2 rods. I've been using my 7 foot Daiwa Agitating which is 0.5 to 5 gram casting weight. It's the same one I use for trout fishing. It's a lovely rod. It's really soft. So in other words, when you get a take, it's got enough backbone to set the hooks, but it's also got enough to take the lunges. A lot of these big perch, especially when you're trolling, and big chub, when you're trolling, the takes can be really aggressive. So you've got to have a rod that'll bend, that'll literally, it'll take the shock of the take. So I've been using that most of the time. I've also been fishing another river that has potential to do some really big perch, really big chub, and zander, and really big pike. Now, around these weed beds, there's every opportunity you're going to catch big fish. So it's nice to have something with a little bit more backbone. So I've been using the baitfish Pike Gator, and that's an 8-footer, and I think it's 3 to 20 grams. So it's a little bit more beefier than my Daiwa, but it's perfect for if you're going to be going on a little bit of a bigger river, a bit more powerful river, where you're going to be using maybe a little bit bigger lures. Really nice rod. I've been using it for about 8 months. It's sublime. It's really nice to use. Now, how it works at this time of year is the rivers, in winter, you can fish anywhere in rivers. Don't get me wrong, margins are really, really good. But if you're going to be fishing on this time of year, what happens in the margins, not all margins, but some margins will get really dense weed growth. Now, what happens is if you looked from above, you'd actually see these as bands all the way down the margins. Like I said, not all margins. If it's deeper, you don't generally get this weed growth. It's generally in shallower water. Now, the ideal for this time of year, I would say, is anything under 6 foot. If it's 6 foot and less, you will catch fish all day. This weed seems to mainly grow around these areas, so these are the areas you'd really need to tackle. If you go down a margin, it's 15, 20 foot right under bank, you're wasting your time. You really need to find shallow water, and this is for numbers. When I'm talking numbers, lots and lots of fish, 100 plus. So what I do, I keep short lines, and what I do is I work around these weed lines. So I'll follow the contour of the weed line, hence why I'm using really short lines. If you have loads of line out, you're going to really struggle to keep up with it. So really short lines, right outside of the boat, and you're going right alongside these weed beds. And what happens, all the fry accumulate around these weed beds. So if you just look, if you go for a walk down your river and you have a look in these weed beds, you'll just see little fries specking everywhere on the surface. All of a sudden you'll see a little spray and it'll be like a perch firing into there and taking fry. What the perch do, they know these fry are in there. They know that they're in safety there. So what they'll do is they'll fire into these weed beds and the fry will shoot out. All the perch will come in, take the fry, and then they'll go away again. And they'll be sporadic. They'll go in and out and in and out. So if you control these weed beds and do it accurately, you will catch fish all day, literally all day. Sometimes you can be talking, you'll get a fish, put it back, drop your lure over, start trolling, bang, you're straight back in, bang, you're straight back in, straight, and it can go like that all day long. And what I tend to do is if I catch fish, or if me and Drew get a couple of takes straight away together, what we'll do is we'll go around in a circle and fish that weed bed over and over and over again until we've exhausted it, we're catching no more fish. If you are catching some decent fish, then you can stop and have a cast and maybe a jig. But this is all about ultralight trolling. So I've gone through the equipment, I've gone through the lures, and I think it's time to see some fish. Now, what you will see me doing in video a lot is agitating the baits. I've always been a big believer in this, so you'll see me doing this with rod quite a lot. Now, on some of this footage, you'll see that I'll hold the rod dead steady and I'll wait for taps. And what happens sometimes is these perch will just come and start tapping, not grabbing your lure, but almost banging at it. And then what you'll do is you'll get one that just holds it a little bit long, and then you can actually strike, and you're actually physically striking the hooks home. Now, it took a while for me to get that, but over the last couple of years, I've sussed it out, and that's what they do. They're not, every time you get a tap, it don't mean the lure's being actually grabbed by a perch. It means that something's just agitating it so that they'll maybe just banging it, or they're coming up to the side of it. If you ever bring in a jig inside at margins, you see these little tiny perch, little tiny things like that, they'll come into it and they'll almost like worry it rather than actually grab it. And then all of a sudden, someone will just come out and grab it. If you can suss that out, you will catch fish all day long. Don't forget, I'm using really light braid, so I'm on like 15-pound braid, 20-pound wire trace. It's a must. You can't not. If you've got trebles and you're using fluorocarbon, you're a clown. Honestly, you cannot do that. You've got to use a wire trace. It's only light. It's only a 20-pound wire trace. Only quite small clasp, small like 45-pound test. Clasps and swivels. You don't have to go stupidly big, but trust me, it makes no difference to your catch rate whatsoever. Perch do not see wire traces, and if you do think they do that, then you're deluded, honestly. What I'm going to do now, we're going to go into some footage and you're going to see me catch some fish. It's been great making this video. Caught tons and tons of fish, me and Drew. There's nothing monstrous on here. There's a couple of chub on here, a couple of pike on here, but mainly it's about catching loads and loads of perch. And it's what I almost class as speed fishing, where you'll catch one, you get it off, you put it back in, you cast back out, you go along, bang, you'll get another one. And it's a matter of putting numbers on bank. Like I say, I think me and Drew have done 150 foot plus fish on a couple of occasions, which no one can complain about. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you give it a try. If you've got a boat or you got access to a boat, get out and give this a go. If you don't, and you just get your pike gear out this time of year and using big lures, you are missing a treat. This sport can be fantastic. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much. As you can see from Finder, just found a shoal of fish here. See them there. All there. That's sort of known too decent than that. That's down scan. So I'm just going to have a bit of a jig. They're actually off the bottom, which I expect to be something like roach, maybe bream. And there's plenty of bait fish around here. I'll just reverse boat up a little bit. Now what I would generally prefer to do is find them trolling.
find active feeding perch trolling, but you'd be crazy not to have a check of these. And what I'm waiting for is just rod tip. I'm in control that all the time, but what I'm waiting for is just feel tap tap, just feel knocks. Now if you start getting knocks, it's generally perch, just smaller perch just tapping at bait. Obviously a big one will come and nail it straight away, but the smaller ones will start tapping. As soon as you get that tapping, you know there's perch there, then you can really target them. I've just moved off him now. I'm just going to give boat a touch. Plenty of them there. So I'll go through this with a small crank as well, which I'm just putting on. Just moved off them now. So I'm going to go through that now with a small crankbait. So that's perfect. Doing this job. If you can find them shoals, you can actually have spot all day off same spot. So what I prefer to do personally, I prefer to go through with a crankbait. Bit too deep for here. We're in 10 foot of water, but it margins is going to be about 6 foot. So I'll put some on. Something like that. See what we can do with this one. Penny bags how to get on with these big things, but there you go. We'll have a troll with that up this margin through that bait shoal. See if we can pick a fish up. Slot boat right down, just almost tick off speed. Cast lower out, drop it under them trees. Be nice to run through them trees. Out there, don't let too much line out. You don't want it going too deep, like I say, it's only fairly shallow. I'll just have a run through here, you just never know. This will probably run about, this sort of line out, probably about 6-7 foot, so it's going to be quite tight to bottom. We'll keep revs low. There we go now, you can see bait fish there. There's quite a lot there. There's got to be perch amongst that lot. Hopefully you can see them there, don't find her. Using an Enigma rod, American tackle gear, microwave guides. Lures an ugly duckling. Now they look like perch, those ones here sat on bottom on the road, away from shoal. Perch and now around bottom just show up as little spikes on bottom, unless you get a major active shoal that's feeding on bait fish, and then they do come up in water. But generally, they'll hang off at shoal. I mean, if you can catch them feeding, it's easy. What I generally do, if I get a take straight away, I'll come back. Now that's a bit of a snag, that. So again, you know that it comes up to about 5 foot, so bring the lure up over the top of them. Just bring it rod up now. That's all. Don't want to get caught in snags all the time. It's a pain in the backside. I hate losing lures, especially on light braid. Trolling, generally use 15 to 20 pound braid if I'm jigging. I generally go down to £8. So I'm just trialling some new stuff at the moment for American tackle, which is really nice. So I've just loaded up on that rod there. So we've gone through that lot, no takes, which is quite unusual. If there's generally perch actively feeding, you'll catch them quite quickly. It's not rocket science. If they're on it, they're on it. If they're not, they're not. Now trolling, what you generally get two types of trolling. You get some where fish. What you'll get what's that one on there? You'll get, just watching bottom here, you'll get days where they'll either all be perch or all be pike, or you'll get a 70-30 split. It's very rare you'll get a 50-50 split on perch and pike. So generally when you're doing this sort of thing, you're either going to catch a load of perch or just little jack pike all the time. Obviously I'm not targeting bigger fish. Again, there's a nice little shoal there just underneath that front of that boat, just on a bit of a snag as well. They look very perchy, but we'll soon find out. Now, if you go over a shoal and it's feeding, it's ridiculous. And what you do is you'll get one fish, go back around, get another fish, go back around, get another fish, go back around, and you'll do it until you exhaust the shoal, where you're not getting any more takes. Which makes sense, really. There's no point just going through it, getting one fish and then not going back. If they're actively feeding, you need to go back, because these shoals do turn on and off. Where I've gone through a shoal for nearly an hour and just caught fish after fish after fish after fish. And then you can go through 10 or 15 shoals where they're just not on it, they're just not having it, they're not interested. Again, I've just been through that shoal there, no actively feeding fish. I've not got a particularly big lure on, so I'm not saying I'm going all out for a big one. I'm happy for just general sport. And as you notice, I'm just messing about with rod tip and speeding lure up and slowing it down. But again, I'm keeping it in contact, so I'm not having any slack line, which is quite important. These takes can be quite finicky. Now we're coming up to a little bit of a lily bed here. Now lily beds and fry at this time of year go hand in hand. So if you ever get lily beds like that, it makes sense to just have a run through it, or just at the side of it. So we'll just go a little bit closer. It's only 6-7 foot, but it's generally bait fish all around them. Where there's bait fish, there's predators. Where there's predators, you're going to catch. So hopefully there'll be something hanging off this shoal. Not seeing much on Finder at the moment. Not even seeing much fry down there. Some bits and bats on top there, but not a lot of bait fish. Not that I could expect. Oops, snag there. Just seen it in water down there. It shows about Finder there. Did you go over top of it? Worth just getting off to one side. We lure. I've just switched hands, obviously. Don't want to bring my lure for all that horrible stuff. Although I'm using quite strong braid, nice wire trace, just in case any pike turn up. Makes sense if you're ever using trebles. No option. You've got to use wire. I've had some really big pike on this water on ultralite tackle when I've been targeting perch, so it makes sense that you have something on it you can land them on. Last thing you want to be doing is playing a big pike in this time of year on too lighter gear and not have a worry about getting it in. I know with 15-pound braid, 20-pound wire trace, I'm going to get that fishing. There's no doubt about it. And I'll bully it as well. I won't mess about. It's not about having fun. It's about getting it in and getting it out straight away. If you follow me on Facebook, you notice that I had a 20 a couple of weeks ago, just doing a lure demo for one of my pals. So big fish do come along every so often. Oh, that's nice. There's a duck there eating fish. Looks like a mashed up roach or something like that. A bit bizarre. Don't see that very often. Horrible blood things. Now, as you can hear, it rattling on my reel, as you can hear it, the sound tells you that that lure's working. Now, if you're not getting anything, if you're not getting any resistance, if you're not getting a little vibration, if I keep my rod tip now, you'll see it just vibrating along. If that stops working, it means you've got a bit of weed on there, so it's always worth bringing a lure in, taking the weed off and going back out again. Otherwise, what Oh, that feels like a twig to me. Feel that wrong? Yep, there you go. Twig, so I'll bring that in. You're not going to catch many fish when you've got a twig on any line. Again, you can hear my clutch is set really, really light. These big perch can pull a little bit of clutch off, but the small ones obviously don't. Just drop that back down there. It's a feature for later in here. Flick us low back out, down that margin. There, because we want to keep it as close to the bottom as possible. Bring it across here now. Coming up on a run of boats. I'm not expected perch by now. I have one of them days today, but listen, put out on water. We're fishing. It's the most important thing. Oh no. angry. It's angry that. We might have to pick that back at neck. Nice one, son. Bike is bike. Rob, that would be a massive perch. This is like the same sort of place where Paul had that big one. Nice one, son. Cheers, mate. Pike is pike. This is the pike. Nice. Lovely out there. Can't beat a river pike, can you, kid? Is that a bream? Or is it a chub? That's enough chub. Yeah, I just saw it flash over and I thought, that's silver. Ain't gonna bream. Calm down. Steady, 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 steady. Oh. A nice fish. Imagine that's maybe just, I don't know, 212 something. It's a big, nice big perch. Long fish as well. Let's not get much nicer on that. Straight to the bottom.